We can regain function in every part of our body when we absorb what Mother Nature offers. Welcome to Safe Fruit, where we review what is safe whole goodness to its roots and what is fake to its core. I want to show you, this is safe whole turmeric. I have a whole little basket of it from 500 pounds that we harvested recently. Well, you landed in the right place because we're passionate about how we can overcome physical and mental dysfunction, regardless of our age or circumstances. We can regain function in every part of our body when we absorb what Mother Nature offers. My personal story of achieving this began 20 years ago. It all began on a fun day in 2005. Our family was in a very large enclosed hotel pool in Alpharetta, Georgia. I left the pool for the hot tub. That's all I remember. My husband and granddaughter saw my feet slide across the wet concrete in a second, and they were straight up in the air. I'm told I landed on the left side of my head, and my skull hit the concrete with such force that my brain moved and separated from my skull. I was taken unconscious to an ER. I spent 2 years enduring the pain of a traumatic brain injury. During those first 2 years, I saw neurologists, I had MRIs, PET scans, meds for anxiety, depression, etc., and evaluations of my IQ. Exhausted, I suffered because I depended on something outside of myself to solve my problems. Finally, at the end of these 2 years, I threw away all meds, especially the Aricept for Alzheimer's. I was 60 at the time. I didn't want to deal with Alzheimer's. I walked away from all of the meds in every fashion possible. I would not be sharing this in a podcast unless I learned how to access the power to be healed. Finally, embracing my pain allowed me to let go of resentment, anger, and so forth, and become grateful for what I had. In 2007, 2 years after the accident, we left Alpharetta, Georgia, and moved to Austin, Texas. The separation from my family and friends left me with plenty of time to research TBIs, traumatic brain injuries. I was an emotional mess. Once alone, I realized that I had a choice: become more functional or continue with meds. As I showed improvement, my husband finally told me his biggest regret was that he never had a chance to say goodbye to me. I cried that morning when he left for work. Being isolated and alone, I finally addressed my pain. I threw out all my comforts. And I love my husband. He suffered too. That's why I wanted to get well. After months of clinical-based research, I turned all my attention to nature-based medicine. It was all over universities. It could be found. I found it. Ancient herbal medicine goes back 2,000 to 3,000 years. Now, these formulas opened my search into ancient fermentations. My experiments led me to gut health, which improved my brain function. This wasn't talked about in 2007. I'm grateful I found it, I guess just through manifesting it. But improving my health gave me courage to manifest everything I needed. I somehow knew that the real me was in there somewhere. I stopped relying on meds. Totally. Now, remember how we started this podcast? Safe root, not fake root. I found the key. It began by consuming fermented probiotic-rich plants, roots, and herbs that I could ferment. That's another podcast. That is when I learned to ferment turmeric. Pharma drugs are synthetic copies of the chemicals that plants and herbs produce. I'll say that again. Pharma drugs are synthetic, made in laboratory, copies of the chemicals that plants and herbs produce. They can't make money by selling plants and herbs, so they sell patented chemicals derived from plants, and then wonder why there are side effects. Plants make every vitamin, especially vitamin C. We can't make it. We rely on plants to give us vitamin C, which we must have for our health. They absorb every mineral, micronize it, so it's easy for our bodies to absorb it. And they create every drug they need to stay alive, which happens to be the same ones we need. We need their probiotics and plant chemicals to make our health what it needs to be. That will be in my next podcast also, or one of them. I eventually understood how to copy what was done anciently in a modern way. Many of my experiments landed on the ceiling. My determination to be healed manifested many miracles, like a chance meeting with a stranger who shared knowledge of how to use naturally occurring microbes as starter cultures. When I focused on healing instead of pain, I was able to imagine my future health. Fermented turmeric is called the king of high herbs, the king. My skin and mood were visibly improved. My goal of being ageless was born. I fermented many herbs with turmeric to get clear skin. As an example, turmeric with 4 other ancient herbs still tames my psoriatic outbreaks. I want to share my skincare discoveries in future podcasts too. Really, no heat, no chemicals, just the gentle coaxing fermentation provides will release the natural healing chemicals that we need. I still have to walk away from being dipped in what I call chocolate every day. All processed foods destroy our gut, our power to heal. You know why? It's because 70 to 80% of our immune system is lodged in our guts. Of course it is. That's where we put everything in our mouth. Think what the gut has to deal with. Our guts thrive on fermented veggies, dairy, and fruits. Mine did, and so did my brain. Within 6 months, I began to be happy again. We moved back to Georgia in 2014 and began to grow turmeric. My husband was so happy that I was well that he planted what you see behind me, 6,000 turmeric plants. That's the first garden that we had of turmeric. That's the picture behind me, and look at our turmeric, 500 pounds ready to go. That's what I just showed you. This wonderful little container is part of 500 pounds that we're going to turn into other products for you. This is the most important message of this podcast. Replace good things for not so good until we realize we don't crave what's not so good anymore. Remember the ad, where's the beef? Well, how about where's the turmeric? Where's the turmeric? It has been called the miracle plant for humans and animals for thousands of years, but where is it now? Why did chemists think that synthetic curcumin combined with synthetic pepper, which is piperine, would increase absorption 2,000 times without checking on what it would do to our livers? Science and medical reports of liver damage caused by this combination are very sad. It's not the turmeric. No one complained for thousands of years until we put chemicals together. Why not check out liver function before jacking up our interest in a synthetic form of turmeric? Why would we hijack a real plant and ask our livers to deal with it? Mother Nature gave us whole, real food and herbs. There is no replacement for whole, real, and safe. That's what this podcast is actually about. Think about turmeric and supplements. All these variants of turmeric are processed with chemicals. They call them all sorts of processes, but they're still chemicals. It takes chemicals to make the processes happen. And they are certified as natural. They can say that. Let's choose whole foods and herbs. I will explain in future podcasts how using ancient knowledge will bring these miracles into your lives. Please hit the like button, subscribe. If you email me at diane@americanturmeric.com, you'll become a member of our turmeric tribe. We will include you in our podcasts, newsletters, and discounts. Until next time, let's transform our guts into healthy warriors. Meet me on the battlefield of ideas. I'd love to hear from you. Bye now.